information. Make sure we good on the sound. And get into it. Alright, so for that. Alright, so first and foremost, I'm gonna start off by saying Barakathon, Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shah. I want to give all honor and glory to Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, Bahashem, Kakadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. And shout out to the whole few legs, starting with the 144,000. Shalom. Alright, so Shalom, Shalom. Shalom to the brother Yasir, Barakathon, Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shah. Alright, so I do want to start off with a video that the brother Yasir sent to us earlier. And he hit me in the spirit earlier, you know, we have to find time to get the live lesson done or whatnot. But I want to go into this. He sent it to us earlier. I'm going to play it real fast so you can, it's more, I want you to hear more than I want you to see it, right? So,
the more you become wise, is the more you realize how grievous. The more you become wise, is the more you realize how grievous this world, this society, and this kingdom really is. There's a saying, ignorance is bliss, meaning if you don't know, you don't have to worry about anything. Bliss meaning heavenly. There's Ecclesiastes 1:18. For in much wisdom is much grief, and he that increaseth knowledge increaseth sorrow. So the more you know is the more grievous this world become, because you know right from wrong. And this world ultimately portrays wrong, all right, to the maximum level. The wiser you become is the more grievous everything seems. It's all vanity. King Solomon spoke on that. That's today's daily verse. I'm going to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai. Double honors to the apostles and the elder bishops of Great Millstone. Salutations to the elect.
alright, so, you know, well, that was clear, you heard it, but basically the brother was talking about how, you know, Ecclesiastes 1:18, which we're going to read real fast, but, you know, it's how you, in this truth, right? You know, when you increase knowledge, right? You know, you increase grief as well, because you understand the will of this world and the things around you are, you know, it's all wrong. So therefore, you have to put off this whole world, put off everything behind you, and focus on the will of Yahweh Hashem Shah. But when you truly understand it, right, that's why the Most High set it up to be this way. Because you understand, going back to the garden, who was known as the sons of power, we didn't know evil, we didn't know iniquity, evil works, right? We don't know the righteous, we knew the righteousness, right? But when the serpent, right, was the melanin man, deceived Eve, like deceiving Adam, the Most High made the world, he made the passage narrow, right? He made the passage narrow, right? And now with that passage being narrow, now there's going to be very few that find it. And when the scripture said there's going to be very few that find it, it's talking about this, right? Because remember when John was going to get to his well, when John he had the vision, right? Matter of fact, we'll go to that real fast. That's Revelation. Let's see. I want to say Revelation 10. Come on, it's Revelation chapter 10, right? And I think I had sent a video of a brother talking about this as well, right before the brother Yasir had sent that video to us, right? Because when John was having the vision, and he gave him the book or whatnot, right? And he's saying, right? So this Revelation 10:9, right? He said, "Now I went unto the angel and said unto him, give me the little book." And he said unto me, take it and eat it up. So eat it up just mean learn it, read it, right? Understand it, right? He said, and it shall make thy belly bitter, but it shall be in thy mouth sweet as honey, right? Why should it make your belly bitter, right? Because when you understand the truth, right? We understand the knowledge, we understand the real 100% truth, the knowledge of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh, you understand the wickedness, right? The scriptures talk about how we're children of the light. Well, this is a kingdom of darkness, right? So therefore, in order for us to see the true passage, we have to have the light. And so within that light, we see the darkness around us, right? So therefore, it comes with cutting family off. It comes with let go of everything that you, quote unquote, love within this world. That's why the scriptures tell you, love not the world, anything in the world, because the world's not for you, right? So when you come to this truth, it's you can say it's a big change, but it's really us coming back to remember. But it's a big change from what you was brainwashed to know, right? Because as the brother said in the video, right, everything around you is wicked. Everything around you is wicked. Earth is in the hands of the wicked, right? And so if the wicked is in charge, the book of SIGH&CRY, chapter 10, if the wicked is in charge, right? So if the wicked is in rulership, what manner of people, what manner of what manner shall the people be, right? The people gonna be evil as well. But we have the knowledge and understanding of Yahweh Shah to see and understand the wicked and to choose the right way, right? So let me continue reading this, right? It says, it shall make thy belly bitter, but it shall bring thy mouth sweet as honey, right? You know, and also, right? You know, when he was having the revelation, Apostle John, he was up in age. He was like in his 90s, right? So this is verse 10, right? He said, "And I took the little book out of the angel's hand and I ate it up." He read the book, he learned it, right? He said, "And it was in my mouth sweet as honey. As soon as I had eaten it, as soon as I had learned it, right? It was in my, it was, as soon as I had eaten it, my belly was bitter, right? Because why? Right? This ain't nothing you really known for, right? The belly meaning the mind, right? Belly meaning mind, right? You know, so when he learned the truth spiritually, right, he understood that, hey, you're going to have family to be destroyed. You're going to have all these things. You're going to have a lot of things. You're going to have iniquity coming up. You have iniquity all around that your family caught up in, right? You know, and you got to separate yourself from them. Not only that, think about the visions that the prophets and all that was having, right? So you had the truth, you know, Most High show you visions, right? You get a glimpse of the future within the scriptures and knowledge and understanding. So you see, how about you, how Shah has blessed us to understand the scriptures that will come upon this place, right? And you understand that all the party and all the gimmicks and games that all this world running around doing, we not part of that because we understand what's really truly happening. We understand what's really truly going on within society around us, right? It says, and he said unto me, thou must prophesy again for many people, many nations, and many tongues, right? You know, but I'm going to read verse 9 and 10 in the NLT, right? So let's go to Revelations. Verse 9, right? Up. Slack it. Revelation 10, verse 9, right? So it says, all right, it's an NLT, right? It says, so I went to the angel and told him to give me the small scroll, right? Because that's why in Ezekiel chapter 3, right? Ezekiel chapter 3, if I'm not mistaken, yeah, when it's talking about, when it says, Ezekiel chapter 3, where it says, in verse 2, it says, so I opened my mouth and he caused me to eat the roll, right? So that's because back in the day, the ancient Bible, it was written on scrolls, right? I got it right here in my notes. Let me see. Right, yeah, cons, right? So the roll that's being described here is scripture because the Bible before it was made into the book form, right? We have it now. We have it now. But it used to be on ancient scrolls, right? So that's why right here it says, so I went to the angel and told him to give me the small scroll. He's talking about the Bible, right? He said, yes, take it and eat it. Meaning, once again, learn it, right? Read it, learn what it's saying, right? He said it will be sweet as honey in your mouth, right? Because when you understand, see, this is the thing how they get them Christians when they tell them the good things. Oh, God come back, we're gonna be happy, holly jolly in heaven, things and such, right? But you do the truth, right? Jake love to hear the things about the kingdom, the spiritual powers, all these other things, right? Jake love to hear the good things to the truth, right? But it says, it will be sweet as honey in your mouth, but it will turn sour in your stomach, right? Because once you learn the truth, and that's why the scriptures say, really paraphrasing, right? When you learn the fear of Yahweh Shai, then you understand judgment. So when you understand the power of Yahweh Shai, and you fear Yahweh Shai, you understand that this ain't no game, right? You understand this ain't nothing to be playing around with. You understand how serious, how the elders always say how deadly serious this truth is, man. You play around with this truth, man, you're gonna be got. You're gonna be gone, right? You know, and us having this truth, us having knowledge and understanding, it's a gift, right? Yeah, we increase sorrow, but hey, that's why we hasten for this. That's why we hasten for this word to pass away, because we ready to get into the kingdom. Because down here it's grievous for us, it's hard for us down here because all the things around us is not of us. We can't get caught up in these things. We can't get caught up in the world. Can't get caught up in the ways that this world has going on. And there's so much iniquity around us. And we know, and also not only that, we understand the destruction that's coming into this place. Right? We understand the Jacob's trouble. We understand all these things are going to happen into this place, man. See, Jake blind to it. Jake don't understand it. Jake don't see the iniquity living there. Jake don't see the vision. Most I say, well, if there's no vision, people perish. Right? We only show that vision to his Amos 3 and 7, to his prophet. There's only a select few who get to understand and be able to overcome what's to come, right? And that's what makes it. That's what builds that sorrow. We understand it because you can go preach it to mom or the daddy and all them for so long, brother, sister, cousin. They ain't gonna get it if they not of the elect, right? It says, so I took the small scroll from the hand of the angel and I ate it. It was in my mouth sweet. It was sweet in my mouth, but when I swallowed it, it turned sour in my stomach, right? And that's why a lot of Jakes. That's why a lot of Jakes fall out of this truth, man, because they can't take the full extent of it. They can't take the whole thing. That's why Ezekiel, most I told Ezekiel, tell them to eat the whole roll, not just the good part of it, not just the kingdom, the spiritual power, not just all of it. You got to eat the whole roll. You got to be able to withstand within the truth through all of it, right? You got to be able to take the sufferings, the pain, everything that comes with this truth. You can't just try to take all the good part. You can't just try to live in the holly jolly parts of it, right? That's why in Matthew's precept just came to mind. I want to talk about the seeds by the wayside, right? And I'm gonna go straight to the point, right? Right? It's verse 21. It's a seed. This was talking about a seed that wasn't rooted already, right? This is Matthew 13:21. It says, he said, but he that received the seed in stony places, the same is he that heareth the word and with joy receive it, right? So he received the word, he hear about the kingdom, the spiritual power, all these things, right? It says, yet hath he no root in himself. So he not all the way rooted within his truth, right? He not eating the whole roll. He hear the good things about it, but he trying to find his way around. He trying not to accept the destruction, the family being destroyed, the prophesying and prophesying against Esau, prophesying against Mount Seir, letting family know that they're going to be rebuking Mount brother and sister, letting family know that, hey, if you don't turn back to Yahweh Shah, you're going to be destroyed, right? So I can excuse me for yawning. It's kind of late, right? Excuse me for yawning. But he said, yeah, he has not root in himself, but do it for a while, right? So he do it for a while when everything going good, when everything, holly jolly, right? He said, for when tribulation or persecution arises because of the word, and by he is offended. So soon as things get hard, soon as things get tough, soon as he start feeling the grief, soon as he start feeling the sorrow, he leaves because he's not truly built for it, right? But only the elect gonna be able to maintain and understand that, right? Because when you increase knowledge and understanding, you understand the true oracle of Yahweh Shah. You understand that this is not no game. You understand that this is not nothing you play with. You understand that this is not just no walk in the park, man. This thing's gonna be tough. Most I said, when you come serve the Lord, prepare thy soul for temptation, right? And that's why, Lord, even going back to second Ezra, that's why, as I was quoting earlier, that's why Yahweh Shah made it this way, right? Because he knew many wouldn't be able to accept the sorrows and grief that come with this truth. He knew many wouldn't be able to maintain and withstand till the end, right? This second Ezra 6, and it's like second Ezra 7, and I'm gonna start at verse 11, right? It says, because for their sakes I made the world. Eden, right? Eden means pleasure because the world is made for the pleasure of men. But when Adam went off, right? When Adam went off, that caused everything to go different, right? It said, but because for their sakes I made the world. And when Adam transgressed my statutes, then it was decreed and now it's done. Then were the interests of the world, of this world, made narrow, right? So now it's made narrow, right? And what's the man? This word's talking about the kingdom. Because this world is made for our pleasure. See, the kingdom's going to be for the pleasure of the Israelites, of the kingdom of Yahweh Shah. We're going to have everything. Spiritual powers, the animals. Ain't going to be no more sorrow, no more killing, none of that. The animals going to get along. Everything is going to be perfect, right? Everything will be perfect. But in order to get into this kingdom, you have to go through the sorrow. You have to go through the grief. You have to go through the agony. You have to go through the tribulation. You have to face these things, right? Because it's ultimately a test. It's ultimately to see who really going to withstand and keep faith in Yahweh Shah. Because as we read about the seed, right? As soon as tribulation, as soon as trouble hit, he ran. As soon as grief hit, I remember we was at camp one day, and the brother Hadabgar was telling about how, I guess it was a mixed guy. And, his mom was white and his dad was black. And Hadabgar was telling us how, like, the guy didn't want to be in the truth because basically his mom was white. And I had a friend like that before, right? He don't even really be around no more. He fell away into the Christian world, but, you know, his mom was white, his dad was black. And when we was talking about the truth, like, that's when we first came in the truth, right? And was telling, as soon as we came in the truth, was telling everybody about it, all my friends and all them about it, right? And at first he understood it, but when it came to the part of understanding how, white people gonna be our slaves and all that things, that such, he didn't want to accept that part. He didn't want to accept none of that, right? He wanted to try to look past all that, right? So now he big on quote unquote JC love everybody, things that such, right? But you see the bugged out ones that they can't accept it, right? But the continue reading on, it says, then were the interests of this world made narrow, talking about the kingdom, full of sorrow, trivial, there are but few and evil, full of perils and very painful, right? For the interests of the elder world were wide and sure, and brought immortal fruit. If they if then they that live labor not to enter these straight and vain things, they can never receive those things that are laid up for them. Right? So understanding that the grief is part of this truth, man. Think about Yahushua. Right? He understood that he had to lay down for our nation. You don't think he had sorrow and grief? Right? You don't think he, pray to the Father. The Father, if this cup can pass me, let's read that real fast, matter of fact. Because Jake think he more than what he is, man. Jake think more than what he is. Jake think he ain't got to face nothing. Jake think everything's got to be put on the platter in front of him. Nah, man, you got to earn this meal, man. Right? You got to earn it. You got to earn this, man. You know? You got to put in your work behind the truth. How should I say, I come with reward for every man for his work. If you're not putting in the righteous works, then you're going to receive the judgment. Or you're going to receive the discretion that come with this place. Right? Matthew 26. I'll go to Matthew 26 real fast, then we'll go back to 2nd Ezra. Matthew 26, right? It's Matthew 26, right? I started verse 30, I thought it was 35, right? It says, Peter said unto him, though I should die with thee, yet I will not deny it, because Yahweh started telling Peter he gonna deny him 3 times, right? And he said, Peter said to him, though I should die with thee, yet I will not deny thee. Likewise, also said all the disciples. Then cometh Yahushua with them into a place called Gettysam, Main, and says unto the disciples, sit ye here while I go and pray yonder. And he took with him Peter and the 2 sons of Zebedee, and began to be sorrowful and very heavy. Then said he unto them, this is Yahushua talking. My soul is exceedingly sorrowful, even unto death. Tarry ye here and watch with me, right? And he went a little farther and fell on his face and prayed, saying, O Father, if it be possible, let this cup pass from me. Nevertheless, not as I will, but as thou wilt. Meaning what, right? He's saying, he understand what he got to do. He asking Father, if this got to be done, I'll do it. But if it could pass from me, let it pass, right? But he understood that it had to be done. He was sorrowful, right? He said it himself. He was sorrowful, right? So you think that when we receive this knowledge and understanding, what you think, how we gonna be? How you think we gonna feel, right? The servant is not greater than his master. The servant is not greater than his Lord. Really paraphrasing, right? So understand that we have to face these sorrows, these griefs. We have to take them on the chin. We have to take it. That's that suffering, right? That's what makes us perfect. That's what makes us perfect. Because when you purge out the way of this world, you purge out the way of that self. It's discipline. That's that spiritual discipline, man. When you purge out that fleshly mindset, that your own will, your own pleasure, it builds you up to a man of Yahushua, and you understand His will. So eventually, it becomes second nature within you, man. Eventually, of course, we're not perfect, but hey, you build yourself up to the man Yahushua. It goes back into that Galatians 4:1, right? How about I got a kingdom set up for us. In order for you to receive the kingdom, you got to go through the sufferings and things in front of before you can get it. This is will of your father have a business. Your father have a business. He gonna want you to learn all the ways, all the things of it, the ins and outs, the goods and bads of the business. Therefore, you can run the business right. Well, the same thing with the kingdom, right? How about I want to learn the ins and outs, the good and the bad, everything of it. So therefore, we can, once we know good and once we know good and bad, and we choose the righteous way. Therefore, now you can be a righteous power. Now you can be a righteous God, right? Now you can be a righteous God, right? Because in order to know the truth, right, you gotta know the lie, right? You gotta know the lie, and we understand that all this world's a lie. But you have people who you love, family members, all that much. But you have to grow out of that. You have to grow out of that. That's like grief and sorrow. That's what John was talking about when he said it was in his mouth sweet as honey, the good of it, right? The kingdom was not, but it was bitter in stomach because you gotta leave family alone. You gotta separate from family, friends, all of it. You gotta separate from this world completely, right? And it hits sometimes, right? But that's the suffering. That's the part of it, right? So let's go back to second Ezra, right? You gotta be willing to endure the suffering, man. Yeah, suffering's what makes us perfect. All right, so this is second Ezra 7, and let's see, what was it? Verse 14, right? So they can, if then they that live labor not to enter these straight and vain things, they can never see those that are laid up for them. Now therefore, why disquietest thou thyself, seeing thou art but a corruptible man? And why art thou moved, whereas thou art but immortal? Why hast thou not considered in thy mind this thing that is to come, rather than which is present? God, because what's to come? The kingdom of Yahweh Shah Shah. But Jake want to feel good right now, right? It's like I keep getting notifications. But Jake want to feel good right now. See, Jake can't take on that. Jake don't want to. What's it? Isaiah 30, right? Prophesy to me smooth things. Jake don't want to hear the hardship. Jake don't want to hear the pain. Jake don't want to hear all that right now. Jake want to worry about getting money, getting rich. Jake want to have peace, and all that right here in this place. Jake don't want to hear about all that. About the destruction that's coming to this place. About all the world wars, Jacob trouble and all that. Jake don't want to hear that, man. Jake focused on right now, right? But instead of focused on the kingdom to come, that's why the scriptures say Romans 8:18, right? For I reckon the things that we suffer at this present time not compared to glory in front of us, merely paraphrasing, right? So let me read that latter part again. It says, "Why art thou moved?" It's like latter part, verse 16 again says, "Why hast thou not considered in thy mind this thing that is to come, the kingdom of Yahweh Shah, rather than that which is present?" So therefore, if you focus on the kingdom and righteousness, everything will be added unto thee. The Most High supplies us with the Spirit each and every day to overcome this grief, sorrow, to overcome the things that we're going through. Right? The temptation, things we're facing is not nothing. It's not nothing new. Yahweh Shah set these things up because only the elect gonna maintain until the end. Only the elect gonna withstand within that grief and that sorrow. Only the elect gonna go through that grief and sorrow and stay focused. Right? It's plain and simple. I'm just bringing out precepts, right? I'm just bringing out precepts surrounding the subject, right? The Yahweh Shah, we speak through the scriptures, the Yahweh Shah. But you gotta understand, man, it's really simple, man. Right? This grief and sorrow, right? When you increase wisdom, when you increase knowledge, you understand the will of Yahweh Shah. It was given unto you, right? It was given unto you. That's the gift, right? So when you see things how Trump right now, they trying to stir up all out the chaos. They trying to stir up all these things. Jay think it's something. Oh man, we seen it. Oh nah, it's finna get hectic. It's finna get hectic. So you walk around on your watch time. You walk around on point. You walk around with that, knowing that at any point in time it can hit like this. Yeah, because that's that grief and sorrow of the knowledge of how about outside that's building to it. That's that spirit of prophecy. That's why we not. That's why the how about say, how about outside say, the Thessalonians, right? The devil Lord should not creep upon you as thief in the night, because we prepared. So Revelation 19, he talk about that the bride has to prepare herself for the marriage. Really paraphrasing, that bride is the elect, married to the Lamb. It says, really paraphrasing, right? So we getting ready. We preparing ourselves through knowledge and understanding. Through this grief and sorrow, we clothing ourselves in the armor of Yahweh Shah, right? It says, then answered I and said, O Lord, that bears rule, thou hast ordained in thy law that the righteous should inherit these things, but the ungodly should perish. Right? It says, nevertheless, the righteous shall suffer great things, and hope for why? Are we gonna suffer great things? Right? It says, for they that have done wickedly have suffered the great things, right? And yet shall not see the wise, right? So we gonna suffer. We gonna suffer. We gonna suffer the straight things. And I hope for the wide. Meaning what? We gonna suffer the hardship. We gonna suffer the pain. We gonna suffer the grief and sorrow, right? And we gonna hope for the wide. Meaning, have in the kingdom we gonna have it all. We gonna have everything, right? It says, for they that have done wickedly have suffered the great things, and yet shall not see the wide, right? Because why? They not in the, I mean, all Israel was brought to the kingdom, but they not gonna overcome the destruction. They not see. That's the thing too, man. Right? They don't even understand the destruction that's coming. So it's gonna hit them as a thief in the night. Jacob's trouble, world war. It's gonna tear them up. The chariots come beating them up. It's gonna tear them up. They eventually they'll be brought to the kingdom through the elect seed, but they're gonna face a lot of destruction, right? They're gonna face way more grief and sorrow than what we going through, because it's gonna be catastrophic, man. Right? And verse 19 says, he said unto me, there is no judge above Yahweh, and none that hath understanding above the highest. But there be many that perish in this life, because they despise the law of Yahweh that is set before them. Right? For Yahweh have given great commandments to such as came, why they should what they should do to live, even as they came, what they should observe, and what they should observe to avoid punishment. I'm gonna read that again, right? It says, for Yahweh have given great commandment to such as came, what they should do to live. Right? He have given us command, he have given us the tools, the things that are pleasing to Yahweh Shai made it known to us. He gave us laws and commandments. He separated us from the other nations. He gave us the tools to overcome this place. Right? It says, even as they came, and what they should do, it's like what they should observe to avoid punishment. Right? He gave us everything to avoid punishment. But Jake, hey, Jake don't want to listen. He said, nevertheless, they were not obedient unto him, but spake against him and imagined vain things, and deceived themselves about their wicked deeds, and said of the Most High that he is not, and knew not his ways. Right? So therefore, it's gonna be punishment on them. Right? And that's part of the grief that comes on the ones who understand knowledge, understand it, because we understand that, hey, that family gonna be destroyed. We understand that mama ain't gonna be destroyed. We understand that little sister gonna be. We understand these things, right? And I'm going to read that precept out of my mind, right? Ecclesiastes 1:18, right? It says, for in much wisdom is much grief, and he that increases knowledge increases sorrow, right? Because once you increase knowledge, you purge out the way of all this world, you purge out the way of everything around you, focus on the will of your Yahweh Shai, focus on what he said for us to do, right? So I had another precept that I wanted to hit. Uh, right? It's First Peter 4:12, right? It says, beloved, think not as strange concerning the fiery trial which is to try you, as though some strange thing happened to you, but rejoice, right? This, and I want you to see something, right? I want you to see something. We read Matthew 26 and verse 39, right? It says, but rejoice in as much as ye are partakers of Hamashiach's suffering, that when his glory shall be revealed, ye may be glad also with exceeding joy. Did we not just read how Yahushua was sorrowful? What he was going through in the time, he was ready to be persecuted, right? Did we not just read about that, right? So therefore, we going through these things, we got to understand that's what it's set for us to do. This is what's set for the elect to face, right? The servant is not greater than his Lord, right? This is John 15:20, right? See how Shah talk, right? It says, remember the word that I said unto you, the servant is not greater than his Lord. If they have persecuted me, they will persecute you also. If they have kept my saying, they will keep yours. But all these things they will do unto you for my name's sake, for they knew not him that sent me. right? So understand that we're going to face the things that Yahweh Shah face. That's why uh, 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 Paul had said in 1 Thessalonians, I want to say 3 and 4, but he talked about how, hey, when I was with you, I told you about these things. These things we're going to face, right? So when we get this knowledge and understanding, don't shy away from it when you feeling that sorrow and grief, right? Endure it, because that's part of it. That's how you know Yahweh Bashem Yahweh dealing with you. You taking them, you partakers of Hamashiach Yahweh, Hamashiach Yahweh suffering. You partakers of it because he went through these same things as well. Philippians 2, let his mind be in you, but he overcame it. That's why he the author and finisher of our faith. And I was watching uh, a video, I forgot exactly what the Elder Pastor Bar was talking about, but I guess some bug out was talking about how, you know, basically that we don't got to deal with Yahweh Shah. Man, Yahweh Shah is that mediator. Yahweh Shah came and showed us exactly how to do it. Even within this subject, Yahweh Shah came and showed us how to endure that grief and sorrow. But having knowledge, understand, because Yahweh Shah came down here with the fullness. He came down here with everything. The Father gave him all the knowledge, understand how you think we got it. That's why he left that comfort for us, right? He came down with the fullness, so he knew it all, understanding the destruction, all of it. He supplied us with bits and pieces each and every day, right? So imagine, imagine us knowing, imagine the grief and sorrow we're facing now. Imagine us knowing way more. Then it'd be like, boy, you know. But once again, Yahweh Shah knew it all, and therefore he endured it. Until then, he stayed focused on the will of Yahweh Shah. He, the author and finisher of our faith, the one who came and showed us this, right? So therefore, if he faced it, of course we gonna go through it. But he overcame it just as well as we can, right? We gotta keep faith in Yahweh Shah. We gotta stay focused, right? Remain focused on the kingdom, right? Face great and vain things, but hope for the wide, right? Got a few more precepts that I want to bring out, right? Romans 8, I'll read 17, 18, right? It says, if children, then heirs of Yahweh, and joint heirs with the Mashiach, Yahweh Shah. It said, if so be that we suffer with him, that we may also be glorified together. For I reckon that the suffering of this present time are not worthy to be compared with the glory which shall be revealed in us, right? So the suffering that we're going through now is not compared to the glory that's going to be revealed in us. So you got to remain focused, man. Our peace is with Yahweh Shah. Our life is hidden with Yahweh Shah. This is nothing, right? That's why it's grievous for us. That's why it's hard for us down here. Because we understand this is nothing. Nothing around this work can entice. Nothing around this work can make us feel good. All we focus on is getting to the kingdom. And we're going to continue doing the works for Yahweh Shah till it's time for us to get there. So within this grief, this sorrow, and as much as we learn with the game is truth, we're going to do it, right? Let's see. Let's go to the book of Hebrews. Gotta understand, man, right? Paul knew he was gonna be beheaded, right? Or Paul knew he was gonna die. Let's say beheaded, but Paul knew he was gonna die, right? Peter, or Peter's talking about in Peter how how I told him he was gonna die, right? But they endured all things for the elect's sake. So what you think you gotta do, man? Right? You gotta be ready to lay down for this truth, man. 11, Hebrews 11:25, it says, choosing rather to suffer affliction with the people of Yahweh than to enjoy the pleasures of sin for his heat. So we choose rather to suffer the affliction. We choose rather to suffer the sorrow, the grief. We choose rather to suffer all those things rather than to enjoy this sin, right? For a season, because seasons pass. This place is going to pass. This place is going to come. This place is going to come to an end. And when it comes to an end, instead of you just enduring the suffering, the pain, now by staying outside, staying focused, now you finna go through a way more hell than what you thought, man. Right? Than what you try to duck, man. Right? Like, right here, right? This Matthew 19, right? And we'll close it out with this, man. Right? We'll close it out this right here, man. Right? It's getting kind of late. We'll close it out this right here, Matthew 19, and we'll start at verse 26. It says, but Yahushua beheld them and said unto them, with men this is impossible, but with Yahweh all things are possible. Then answered Peter and said unto him, behold, we have forsaken all and followed thee. what shall we have before thee, right? So we got given up everything. We got to give up everything for the truth, right? And that's that grief, that sorrow come in. Separate yourself from father, mother, brothers. It don't matter what it is. Separate yourself from. You gonna feel grief from it. You gonna feel it, right? But you gotta understand it's for a greater purpose, right? It says, then Peter answered and said unto him, we have forsaken all and followed thee. What shall we have? Therefore, Peter said we gave up everything, right? Like dang, like that hurt. We give up everything, right? That's what Yahushua told him. And Yahushua said it to them. Verily I say unto you, that ye which have followed me in the regeneration, when the Son of Man sit on the throne of his glory, he shall also sit upon the 12 thrones, judging the 12 tribes of Israel, right? And the key part is that regeneration because, hey, these are the same spirits, right? These are the same spirits. This generation shall not pass to all be fulfilled. So in that regeneration, when Yahushua come, bring the script on this plate and they let them beamed up in that regeneration, right? When we regenerate in the kingdom, you gotta understand that's when we're gonna be sitting on the thrones of Yahushua. Right? These are the same spirits some who believe, some who didn't believe. And it's gonna die, so we'll wrap it up. We at 5%, right? In verse 29, right? It says, it's the point right here. And everyone that have forsaken houses, or brethren, or sisters, or father, or mother, or wife, or children, or lands for my name's sake, shall receive 100-fold and shall inherit everlasting life, man. So you gotta be ready to endure that suffering because the greater purpose is coming with it, man. This knowledge and understanding is the gateway, the tool to overcome this place. And yes, you're gonna face grief and sorrow with understanding because it's gonna show you things, right, that the word that they hide from you. Right? It's gonna show you things that they try to keep from you, right? But hey, it's part of it, right? It says, but many there shall be first, many that are first shall be last, and the last shall be first, right? All the sorrow, all the suffering, all the pain we facing, yeah, man, we going through that, right? But it's for a greater purpose, man. Because knowledge and understanding what's gonna help us overcome and get past this place, man. Right? So you gotta endure that grief, man. You gotta endure that suffering. You gotta endure that pain, man. Right? And understand as much knowledge as you understand, much knowledge as you get, yeah, it's gonna bring grief and sorrow, but it's gonna also it's all gonna bring you to salvation, man. So keep that faith to the end. Right? So with that being said, hope the lesson was edifying and exalting. Right? And I want to give all honor and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, Bahashem, and Kakadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. And shout out to the host of the elect, starting on the 144,000. Shalom.